I'm not going to say anything yet. I'm not going to say anything in it. So we can jump to it, but I still need to. There's a lot that I still need to think about.
Okay. No, yeah, and maybe we can just sort of touch on it at the end, give a first impression. Maybe semi-predictive, because like, what does it mean? Is a lot of.
Yeah. Remember, we have 45 minutes.
But that's what I mean. Teasing, like, because here's the thing: potentially this sets up doing a third episode with my buddy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. What is the long-term effect of too much information?
Information. I just need some information. I've been dying. Is it lack of education? I've been reading without any transformation. I'm addicted. Is it overstimulation? Hey.
Welcome to the Sixth Sense Report.
Hear ye, come one, come all. You are listening to the Sixth Sense Report with Joel Nikoloff and Darnell Samuels.
Bro, I think this will be like the greatest contrast in temperatures when we're ever recording.
What?
You are like, minus 20, and I'm like plus 20.
Oh.
Sitting here in my shorts and a t-shirt with a warm coffee, super comfortable. And you're, venturing to the winter tundra known as Parliament Hill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm back. I'm back from Parliament Hill, and it was a good trip. And for the listeners, I know people who've been following me on my social medias on Instagram and Twitter, and just people that know me in general were definitely asking about what was it like, and how was the trip to Ottawa. So
we're gonna give the people what they want, right?
Got to give the people what they want, yeah. Kind of like Jalen Jacoby. Jalen Jacoby. That's what's up. Yeah, man. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. I went to Ottawa on last weekend. I was in Ottawa last weekend, and it was
just for maybe for the listener. This is Tuesday the 15th. Just since everything's moving so quickly, I want to timestamp our conversation.
And I think also, like, in light of all the stuff that's unfolding for the listeners, like there was just so many points. Like, we're aware of all the stuff that's going on in regards to the freezing, Ontario court freezing the access to donations for truckers, the War Measures Act or the Emergencies Act, the Ontario State of Emergency. So we are aware of those events. It's just for the sake of time, we will follow up and unpack those ideas in upcoming episodes.
Yeah, I would say, other than reporting on your current experiences, we don't necessarily care to be first. We want to be accurate. And since those things are, let's call them dynamic at this point, might be too early, other than maybe giving a couple predictive statements at the end or our hot takes. We'll probably leave some commentary on those things for a future conversation. Maybe bring on some other, commentators or other opinions to help give some diversity / different perspectives to the
insight as well.
Yes.
Insight as well. Because it's funny. I've already started tweeting. I've already kind of started making some public statements about what I'm seeing. In light of Trudeau's freezing accounts and stuff like that, the court freezing accounts and war measures and things like that. So, we have, there's a lot to unpack there. So we'll take our time with that, with the next episodes. But for now, we can answer some of the questions in regards and talk about what's going on the ground, and what's actually going on there, in Ottawa at Parliament Hill.
So, what was your most memorable experience? Or maybe the most difficult or the most random thing that you encountered?
Oh, random?
Well, just, how like when you go on a trip or you go to a visit, it's the weird, random, unexpected piece that usually sticks with you. So I tried to be as broad with that question.
Random. Uh, um, I watched The Notebook with my wife. I've been reluctant to watch it. Didn't really want to watch it, but in the hotel room, we had the laptop. We took out we took the plug out to connect I forgot the
HDMI.
HDMI. We took the HDMI out the side of the TV and plugged into the laptop, logged into our Netflix, and I've been putting off The Notebook for a very long time, and
And you had no more excuses.
yeah, no more excuses. Valentine's Day is around the corner, and so we were like, okay, let's enjoy the night in the hotel room and the view of
Check
Parliament Hill.
Darnell's Twitter for.
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
Instagram, I think too.
Yeah. We had I had 18. We were on the 18th floor, overlooking Parliament Hill. So that was beautiful. That was beautiful to see everything just from a top down at night, and in the day you're just overseeing everything. It was really beautiful. So yeah, that I didn't expect to watch The Notebook and actually enjoy it. That was random. I actually enjoyed it. I was like, oh, I like this movie. This movie's powerful. I like this.
Yeah. No, I mean, conceptually, it's not bad. Like the concept that they built it around. I never seen it, actually. I sort of know about it. I know.
Yeah. Okay, watch it, and let me know.
I mean,
so shout out to Afterwatch, LeVar and Phil and those guys who do their movie reviews.
Did they convince you to watch it?
No. It was just Tyra. Tyra's like, yeah, we should really watch it together. So yeah, but
my wife loves all those movies, so generally,
watch it. Do her a favor. Yeah. Although Valentine's Day's past, watch it. Do her a favor. Yeah, bless your wife and watch it.
Yeah, my wife's slightly Valentine's Day gift is tomorrow.
Okay.
We're taking a trip to Universal Studios.
Oh, nice. Nice.
So we spent all our money on that instead of Valentine's Day dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like when you're in Florida, who knows? I may never be allowed out of Canada again. I got to take advantage of it.
Yeah. Who knows, man. But as far as the trip goes, I would say the one thing that kind of caught me off guard was being around so many people with no masks. That was weird. So in the hotel,
it sounds like Florida.
Oh, okay. I guess so. But there was like one cafe that I was in, and they were like, oh, nobody there's no mask requirement in this one store, this one cafe. And so there was a lot of people in there, like a lot of people just, some people going to the bathroom, some people trying to get food. And it was like an out of body experience because that was the old normal, but the old normal doesn't feel normal. It didn't feel, I was just like, whoa, this is weird. Why is everybody, I felt like, okay, I can't social distance because there's too many people in here. Nobody's wearing masks. And I was just like, this is weird. But I'm like, this shouldn't be weird because this is how things used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing was that different shops related to the convoy differently. Which was very fascinating. So, for example, Joey's. I love eating at Joey's. So Tyra and I went there when we got there on Friday night to get something, and they close at I think 12 usually, but they were closing at 8:45. Right, and we're like, okay, so why are you guys closing? Oh, because of the convoy. And I was like, the waitress isn't there to give political commentary. She just said, hey, look, we're closing at 8:45. And it was 8. They were supposed to close at 9, but they're closing at 8:45. So even that 15-minute window, me and Tyra missed. But they were basically closing early, and so we were kind of like, oh, okay, so they're closing early. Interesting. And then we went to another shop Shoppers Drug Mart, because I like to sleep with those eye masks when you sleep.
And you forgot yours.
Yeah, I forgot mine. I forgot mine at home. And Tyra said, "Look, hey, make sure you pack that because I know you could forget it." And then I forgot that, and I also forgot my do-rag to tie my hair down before I go to bed. I know. Shoppers Drug Mart ain't got do-rags, but I was looking for the thing to put over my eyes, and so I'm like, okay, cool. There's no problem. Just go Shoppers Drug Mart. So Shoppers Drug Mart wasn't opening or wasn't doing any service unless you were getting medication. So if you want to go in there and get like a nail file or buy a drink, they weren't opening it up because of the protest.
So they were protesting the protest.
But hold on. But this is the thing, right? And so I'm telling this for the listeners because you're kind of thinking like, okay, so what's happening to the businesses out there? Because we've been hearing things, right? But then I go to another shop, and I just told you about the one where there was no masks required,
yeah.
And the place was packed. The place was packed. There was another place. I asked the manager. I was like, "So what's this pub?" I was like, "So what's it like with the protest?" And they're like, "It's actually hurt our business because our regulars aren't coming down to the court, right? And because of the vaccine passport, people can't sit down. It's only takeout. So they're kind of losing." They're losing out for those business. People. Yeah, they were losing some business. So the point I'm making is that some businesses were doing well when they opened up to the protesters, and some just outright shut their business down, not to help or not to open up their business to protesters. Actually, I went to one establishment. I'm not going to say no names. Not going to put nobody out on blast.
Don't throw them under the bus.
Yeah, nah. But one, and I think that person might have been a manager there, and I overheard him talking, and he said, "Man, I hate." He's like, "Oh man, these protesters, bunch of white trash." Call them like a bunch of white trash, and I was like, "Oh." A white guy saying that about other white people, not, and I thought to myself, I was like, man, and I was like, that's how white people probably feel about when black people make slights about each other. I was like, oh, so that's what it feels like to be a white person, listening to black people, like, boy, I hate them niggas, man. Ooh, I hate those niggas. Right? So I was like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. Actually, this feels uncomfortable to hear white people call each other white trash. It didn't feel comfortable. I was like, you guys shouldn't do that. It's not nice. But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. No. It's interesting you say that because like, when you have those experiences that like are slightly foreign, but you can find the analogy, it's very insightful. Right? There was a situation I had recently. It was sort of a similar thing. And I had a conversation with someone. I was like, okay, what's your take? Right. And just, I only can perceive it from, my, let's call it experience worldview lens. And their worldview lens is going to be shifted based on their life experiences, their culture, their whatever. Right. So I was like, okay, what's your take on this? And so my point is that like, when you have those honest conversations, even you retelling what you just said to me, right? I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. No, I get it. Like, and now I'm thinking about what you've just said. Oh, this is what it's like for white people. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. Thinking about it for myself, right? My point though is like, you articulating it is important, right? Like people want to talk about all this race stuff, right? That conversation that you just had with me is probably one of the most informative sort of, let's call it racial perspective experience type of conversations we can have. But my question, and sort of where I wanted to pull that or tease this out a little bit, was like, how much has the political correctness stopped those conversations from happening?
Right. No, you're totally right. And part of it, it comes back to, the political rhetoric and people trying to navigate what's going on, especially like dealing with race. And that was one of the main issues that people were concerned with me with going down to Ottawa for, in regards to dealing with racists, right? They're like, okay, like, you know, so it's funny. telling my mom, telling my mom I was going to Ottawa, and she was like, "Oh, are you going to Ottawa for?" Like, you know, like, like I'm not trying to go to a funeral.
A troublemaker?
My mom was like, yo, I'm not like, trying to go to a funeral. I'm not trying to have my son lynched. That kind of thing.
Did she say that, or you got that perspective?
No. She was saying that. She was saying that. And yeah, and I had friends too. Like or my cousins too. And I'd be like, hey guys, I'm gonna head down there. Pray for Journey Mercies, and that time and I would have a good time. And people are like, yo, D, yo, keep your head on a swivel, bro. Like, be careful when you go out there. And so it was very powerful, because that's what everybody's concern was, that, okay, and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize, like, there was a lot of people who were kind of like, oh, shoot, you're going into the belly of the beast. But I can honestly say, I observed.
I told you, bring your press pass and you're good, bro.
Yeah, I got to make up one. Yeah, and part of it too was, the reason why I went down to Ottawa was for Six Cents Report work, and trying, because we were supposed to do and I was supposed to do an interview with somebody who was who works with the Trucker Convoy, who's part of their media team and their press stuff. So supposed to go down there for business, mixed it with a little bit of pleasure with me and Tyra. But anyways, but as it related to the racism and stuff, there was no violence, no harassment. Everyone was out there having a good time, smiling, joking. Yeah, and everybody was being respectful. And what was funny was, what was weird or unique was that, I was getting a lot of attention. Everybody was coming up to me, like, high-fiving, pictures.
Just with you.
It's not because I was famous, but because I was black. So me and my other my cousin and a friend of mine, I actually saw people down there that I knew, just by coincidence. We're like, oh, and they're black as well. So when we were out there, it's funny, white people were coming up and asking, can they take pictures? Take pictures with me. This one guy yells out, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? Don't you know we're a bunch of racists?
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, because I was going to say, I think some people could easily take it as, what's the way to word it? Like, oh, is there tokenism going on? Are they exploiting it? And I think it's more like, I think, based on the way you just said it, right? It's jovial. It's sort of like, they want to take a picture with you to mock the ridiculousness of the rhetoric, not sort of the tokenist sort of perspective.
Yeah, like and like everybody was very collegial. I think that's the right word. Yeah, collegial. So for example, I'm trying to get through the crowd. A lot of people, and trying to get through the crowd, and Tyra was slipping on the ice beneath, and this white lady, grabbed her and hooked her arm. She's like, all right, you're gonna come with me, and kind of led Tyra through. She was kind of harnessing Tyra up and leading her through the crowd. And, we kind of had a laugh about it, with her and the other people there. But yeah, no, everybody there was like, it was conversation. It wasn't like, oh, hey, let's take a picture. But I was like, oh no, we were talking, like, oh, what are you doing over here? I'm like, oh, I'm here for this reason, and the person's there for that reason. And yeah,
hopefully you got some new
aware.
Subscribers.
But, honestly, it was too cold to pull a card out of my wallet, bro. It was too cold, Joel. I think it was minus 22 out there. It was like minus 13, but it felt like minus 22
with the wind chill.
Yeah, man. It was incredible. And it really made me think, like, oh shoot, like, yo, these guys are just sitting out here, like, they just out here cheering and
living in their truck.
Yo, living in their truck. People out here praying, marching around Parliament with their ram's horn, and walls of Jericho tumbling down. Like it and it made me feel like, and I made a joke about this the last episode, because you said, "Oh, yo, Darnell, are you gonna stand out on the bridge for the trucker convoy?" And I was like, "Hell no!" Like, yo, black people ain't going out on no damn bridge, -22 weather. And then I was out there, and I was like, "Yeah, this is why. This is why, people." I don't know, man. It's funny. It's just funny how cold it is, but it definitely makes you have respect. It definitely raised my level of respect for the truckers, for sure, in regards to their sacrifice and how they do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I lost feeling in my toes. I lost feeling in my fingers. Thank God, the friends that I was there
Hot
with.
pause.
Yo, bruh. Yo, thank God for my friends that were out there, and they gave me it. I didn't even know what it was, because I don't know, maybe because I'm from Ontario, and like, I don't know, or dude, I'm old school.
I played hockey with a guy who would put him in his skates before we went on the ice.
Yeah, well, okay, well, I didn't know what that was. He just gave me this package, and he's just like, yeah, just hold it,
And you're like, what
just
are you
hold it.
talking about? What's this? And then you put them in your hand. You're like,
oh my, yo, bro, because like I had to take out my phone to take pictures or use video.
Yeah.
Right. And things like that. But then I started to lose like feeling in my fingers. And so like when you see the postings that I did on Instagram, like I'm telling you, man, it was freezing. And so it was a good experience. It was a good experience to see what the truckers are going through, and what other Canadians, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how cold it is. People want their freedoms back, and people are willing to sacrifice their physical well-being, for their freedom. So my respect, and I'm glad I got to experience. I'm glad I got to stand out there in the cold to kind of see where people are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely the racist narrative thing was one of the main concerns that most of my friends and family had in me going down there.
And do you think it was completely unfounded? Do you think, I'm sure there's bad actors. What's your, like, obviously your experience, you're not going to experience every single person that's out there. But if you were trying to take a judgment of the character of the people that you saw, would you say, it was sort of a standard Canadian crowd? Would you say, race relatively diverse? In terms of relative to the Canadian population? And I guess second to that, like any group, I love using this quote because Joe Rogan uses it. He's like, when you have a group of 100 people, there's always going to be 3 idiots. So like, inevitably someone's going to be extra loud, shouting stupidness or being a little ridiculous.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I'll say it this way. Never in my life have I been so happy to see a pride flag.
Wow. Okay.
Yo.
Unpack that in Darnell's words.
As a black man, right? Because sometimes you're like, sometimes you feel like you're the only one. Now, mind you, yes, there were black people there, but just not a lot. Mm-hmm. And I would say it's almost in comparison to the population of Canada, which is, black people make up 3.5% of the population in Canada, which is small, much less in Ottawa, right? Because most of the people who come from Africa and the Caribbean stay, we stay in the GTA. But sometimes it's good to see other minorities. So the pride community was out there, and they are a minority, and they were out there representing. And I was just like, oh shoot, like we have something in common. We not just we're minorities, but we have something in common, right? And so it's pretty cool to see like Indigenous people were out there, people from the pride community, people from the black community, the Sikh community. Although it wasn't a lot, there was still representation there, and that we all at some point, if we all went to a bar to get a beer, we have something in common. We're just like, oh wow, usually we don't. Oh, this guy's brown, this guy's black, this guy's Sikh, this guy's Christian, this guy's gay, this guy's not. No, actually, no, we all agree. And the mandates. Right? So that was really encouraging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in essence, what you're saying is that the diversity of the group, while percentages might have been different, every walk of life within Canada was represented.
Yes, yes. I would describe the trucker convoy as Caravana, but more Canadian and more colder.
It's Caravana in
Yeah,
winter. That's it. That's all.
yeah, because because the music, the guys were like a lot of music, a lot of dancing, a lot of dancing, a lot of turning up, as you saw, some of you guys saw in my on my Instagram posts, a lot of guys turning up, and and it was cold outside, but if you're dancing, you're pretty good. Like I saw a guy out there with his t-shirt on. He had his overalls, he had his Carhartt overalls and t-shirt, and they were just
Ripping it up, eh?
oh my gosh. I was like, okay, look, I'll tell you what, if any of my jams came on, if any of my jams came on, I might have been in there, be like,
You might have been rocking the Soul
go
Train.
shawty, it's your birthday.
Oh, so
Right?
like halftime show?
Oh my gosh, yeah, something like that. Oh my gosh, something like that. No, but there was a lot of it was very jovial, a lot of families. I thought that was big too. I thought the family thing was big, in the sense that people, and any protest, actually, any protest, where parents are kind of showing their kids like, okay, look, this is what we're about as a family, this is what we support as a family,
Mhm.
and taking your kids down there to see it for themselves. So that was that was pretty cool.
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was pretty inspiring, and I would I would definitely recommend anybody who hasn't gone to go to check it out. Of course, make sure you have your hot hands packages
Mhm.
for your gloves, for your boots. That if you have it in your boots and you have it in your gloves, you can stay out there for long periods of time. Um, if you are booking, make sure you book, because the hotels are really hard to come by. So book Friday to Sunday. Yeah, because
True.
those things, yeah, and just book ahead, because those things fill up fast.
I had I don't know if this is still relevant, but I had heard the Trudeau government had purchased a bunch of hotels rooms to sort of prevent people from coming. When I heard that, I also sort of heard, again, this is hearsay or rhetoric that I've just heard from people, that they might have been taking walk-ups though. So you could walk up to the hotel and be like, "Oh, can I book a room?" And you'd be able to book even though online didn't have any.
No, well,
So did you
the
experience that? I read that. I'd sort of heard it.
no, the because I was asking the
Manager.
the staff about, like, okay, so how's it going with the bookings? They're like, oh no, every place is booked. But the problem is, they don't have enough resources to host all the people. So in a sense, not all the rooms were booked,
Mm.
just because of the trucker convoy. Not necessarily the one in Ottawa, but in regards to shipments and the blockage at the borders. They
I'm
didn't
sure all of
have
it. Like the reason they don't have resources because they haven't had, like, if I'm speculating, they've been scheduling their staff according to the level of let's say floors that they normally have full. Well, if I can shut down an entire floor, I can probably cut my workload or my staffing in what percentage? 30%, 20%, right? Like essential. But every floor I open, I probably need another crew, right? To do turnovers or to do whatever, right? Like the various maintenance type of work that's done. So that's sort of my take on that comment. I think to some extent you're also saying probably the regular traffic to the capital has been reduced, or people that would normally come visit aren't coming to visit unless they're there for the convoy. So you've got the like traditional traffic has shifted. Is sort of what the other thought I had. Does that align
Right.
with what you heard?
Yeah, well, more so just in regards to resources, them not having enough resources to host all the people. And it's been a while, and I'm sure for all those hotels in that area, it's been a while since they had
Capacity issues.
Yeah, capacity issues, which is a really good problem to have, right?
Now,
so just for people heading down, I would say, you should go to see for yourself what's going on. Like, I mean, Joel, like, what's your take on how the media has covered what's going on in Ottawa?
Agree or disagree with our views? Give us your 2 cents. You can leave your comments on any of our social media platforms or email us at sixcentsreport@gmail.com.
6 cents makes change. 6 cents makes change. 6 cents makes change.
I think there's a girl who was fired or no, quit from CBC. I remember hearing this.
Really?
I don't know where I heard it now, but this girl was commentating on, like, they did a whole bunch of I think it was someone was watching like the CBC live feed, let's say. I think it might have been referring back to like Vaughan Mills. And so when you watch the live feed, you could see all the, number of people. You could see how big the people was there. But when it came time for the headliner in, the 5-minute segment on the nightly news, they picked the segment that of the video, the whole live feed, probably of an hour and a half live feed, they pick 5 minutes, and of that 5 minutes is probably, half video, half commentary. So that video doesn't represent what you would have seen on the live feed in a manner of, what narrative are we pushing? Which way are we trying to steer people's opinion, right? So if I want to make this sound like the fringe minority, well, am I going to show the Vaughan Mills footage that looks like 10,000 people are there? Or am I going to show the corner of the footage with 150 people that sort of makes the comment of fringe minority make a little more sense?
Yeah. It's kind of like a Christian hip hop concert, right?
What? Unpack that analogy for me.
Yeah, because at Christian hip hop concerts, right? Like, no disrespect, no disrespect to some of my friends who are CHH, Christian hip hop artists, but like there's people at Darko. Shout out to Darko.
True.
But
Darko,
sometimes like nobody's there. Nobody like the audiences are so small, so the angle that you got to shoot at has to make it look like there's like a lot of
front
people.
Row. It looks like people behind it, and that's it. You can't see how deep the crowd goes, but it only goes 4 rows deep.
You have 30 people in the building, but if it seats 100, and there are 10 people turning up. So if you can get the 10 people in one shot turning up, then you're like,
from the stage floor view, it looks unreal. Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, you're 100%. That's so the opposite, right? Like, if I want to diminish the same thing happened with, media does it all the time, right? Like, so I would say my take is that I'm sure, and I've heard sort of even videos of people going up to like a global news reporter and be like, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate, the way you've reported on this, so I think there's segments within mainstream media that are more reflective. But for the most part, they don't have a choice. Like, our media in Canada is like 75% or more are either like CBC would be 100% state funded, basically. You've got others that are massively state sponsored. Then you've got, a small segment where they get a little bit of money. Maybe that's, for cultural segments or certain things that they're, building into their newsroom that Canada sponsors, right? Like, we have an Indigenous component to our newspaper and Canada gives out money for that, right? Like, so you've got those, that's like over 75% of our media falls into that category. Mm-hmm. And then you've got independent media, which is like, let's say 25% of all media companies. And I'm thinking of like relatively big ones. Obviously I wouldn't, are we included in that 25%? I don't know, whatever, who cares? The point though is that the 75% that all get money from the government, they have a conflict of interest, right? Like, do I go against Trudeau when he basically writes checks to us. Like the level that I can portray this convoy in a positive light becomes limited just by the nature of the conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In one of my conversations with one of our super fans, Tony Lemma, I don't know if it was a public conversation or private, I said something to the effect of, we need to add to our constitutions the separation of church and media, or like we have separation of church and state, we need to add to the Constitution separation of state and the media.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I would argue Canada is a prime example of it. I mean, there's a video from Trudeau running his mouth, just trying to make a funny, and he looks like a complete idiot now because it's 5 years later, and he's like, "Of course they're going to report on us. We just wrote him a check for $600 million." Like, hello, you like what's Trudeau's biggest problem right now? He has no reputation. Nobody trusts him. Nobody believes him. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently his ratings are like 16%, the worst they've ever been, probably for any Canadian prime minister ever.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, this is because nobody trusts him. Nobody believes him. Nobody, even his own side is sort of like, he's handled this horribly. Now, they might want military to come in and crush these people, but they still think what he's done has made it worse, not better.
Mm-hmm.
So,
good point.
You're not getting that perspective from mainstream media. Mainstream media is trying to like demonize, right? That's or at least there's very limited. Like there's a piece I'll put in the show notes page from CBC that's about sort of the Christian culture that seems to be there, not necessarily representing everybody, but lots of verses. Did you see this? Like that there's like lots of Bible references, scripture verses.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Throughout the convoy.
So, some stuff out of context, but hey, man, look, man.
yeah.
I'm too cold. I'm too cold to correct your exegesis right now.
So, but the what I appreciated about this article from the CBC was that there was a level of, we see a lot of it, but we don't know what percentage this truly represents people here. Like, so this was like, rather than being like, oh, let's call them Christian nationalists and start demonizing them, just saying, hey, these are people with deeply held beliefs. We have no idea how many there are, how much it represents. We do see a lot of biblical references everywhere, but it's not like that tells us what percentage of the people here are here with Christian, perspectives or convictions. So, I mean, I just say, I'm not saying that article was perfect, but I didn't see any sort of like derogatory terminology, no like demonization of like, these people have faith and look what it's causing them to do, right? Like, it was just an honest perspective. And I was sort of reading it, waiting for like, oh my goodness, and I really didn't roll my eyes once reading this article. So I think it's an example of, you can find honest takes. The problem is, if you're watching a 30-second clip on the news, what do you think they're going to do? How much depth of understanding you think you're going to understand?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think part of it too is, we talked about this before in regards to like, there's a generation of people, Canadians, in our context, Canadians, who rely on legacy media and don't watch any other news, but the world is growing and is progressing, and people who are more younger, I guess, some millennials know how to source their news. They know where to go for their information, and like our parents, they don't know where to go for their information. They don't even know that there's other information. They don't know that. Like my grandma, my grandpa, that's all they know is CNN and CP24. Like, I go visit them and they're sitting there, and for hours on end, they sit there and that's all they watch.
Mm-hmm.
And so, right. And also there are millennials, people our age.
There's people out that fall inside the norm.
Yeah, who only watch CP24, and so you're seeing the repercussions of that now. And I'm not a shameless plug to the Sixth Sense Report, but this is why the Sixth Sense Report exists.
Mm-hmm.
This is
so
why
we could tell
True
people
North
to turn off
exists.
CP24.
This is where True North exists. This is where Rebel News exists. and independent journalists, people who've kind of Brendan Gonez, like people who've kind of said, okay, you know what, I'm going to step out. And people know, like, just like you could choose what meal you want to order and they'll deliver it to your door, or what phone service you want. It's the same thing with your journalism. You can choose your journalism. Just make sure you choose with balance. But this is why people are kind of scared and ignorant of what's going on in Ottawa. Police are out there, tons of police, and they're chilling, well, literally, out in the cold, but they're talking to the people. They're cool, and there was no problem. Everything was peaceful, fun loving. Yeah, it was like a festival, man.
Well, and I think, people take with regards to the police presence there, I think you get, people on both sides sort of critiquing it in a manner that's somewhat foolish. Like there's plenty of takes that I think are just, I'll use the word that I like to use, word ignorant of what are they really there for. And I heard someone else talk about it. The reason I use the word ignorant is like, well, why are they there? Like, so you've got people on the, let's say the liberal government side who are like, why aren't they arresting people? And then you've got, the super conservative sides going like, why are they even here? They're disrespecting us. Like, go away.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Well, actually, one of my relatives said, they should be tear gassing people.
The fact that they said, like, this is why they're protesting. Like, the fact that that's even coming out of people's mouths is why they're
It's crazy. Yeah, I know, that's crazy.
Like, hello, like, this is why
That's
they're
crazy.
there, but the reason I say this though is like, what is the look at any festival that's, whether government planned or not, that's not the point. Like, let's say a festival that normally has, massive amount of crowds, Canada Day celebrations, cops are everywhere. Why? Just to be a peacekeeper, the way we used to call them, police officer, right? This presence that sort of says like, hey, let's make sure people don't act a fool because they feel they can get away with it, right? Because once you bring that many people around, like, I don't know if you saw the footage from Winnipeg, right? They had a crazy person, basically, who, I shouldn't say crazy person, but basically someone clearly who had a mental break of some capacity, ran over people in Winnipeg, hit somebody, I think hit 4 people with their car. Now, as I seen it, I never heard anyone really got hurt. They probably kind of got out of the way, but I heard a friend of mine make a commentary like that. The Winnipeg police probably feel a level of guilt and responsibility for that. And so, because they weren't able to prevent it. And so, to some extent, I'm mentioning this, that, like the police actually having a presence there, assuming that there's no abuse of power, will likely cause less bad things to occur, whether it be violence between an anti-protester and a protester or whatever, right? Like the example of the police, the person who's running over people in Winnipeg. I can't remember if I put that in the last show notes page, but I'll put probably an article from True North that talks about that car that ran over someone. So to wrap up, to finish here, any last minute advice? I think you already gave people advice, but in terms of planning. But if they were to go, what should they expect, or if they're going to go? Assuming it sounds like every Saturday is when the happening is happening.
Yeah, the party Saturday, Sunday.
So I'm assuming until, even though Trudeau's made some War Measures Act comments, until he does something. I assume the protests will continue to grow. They've been threatened already. This is what I find funny. The reason they're there is because their livelihood is threatened. So by threatening them further, you think that's going to make them go away? So that's my 2 cents on let's say Trudeau's action. But that's an early hot take, and we'll see as things transpire. But do you suspect that the crowd will be even bigger this Saturday than it was when you were there?
Yeah, I think so. I think the people definitely are charged up. My one of my concerns is if the government doesn't find a way to resolve this, if this convoy goes into the spring and into the summer, then you're going to have a real problem, because then you're going to get more people heading down there. But I'll definitely leave the listener with this. So as a history teacher, I wanted to go to Ottawa to be a witness to Canadian history. So the Canadian government's response to the COVID-19 pandemic will definitely be in our history books. So with the misrepresentation of the trucker convoy by mainstream media, I wanted to see what was really going on. So the one thing I've learned is that Canadians' fear of the trucker convoy is real. Fear of government force, fear of racism, fear of white males, and for me, fear of the cold. Though, although I didn't see many minorities, they were still out there in solidarity. And I even saw Christians praying in front of the Parliament building, Parliament Hill. And it reminded me that the Lord is in control. And so it doesn't matter what sphere of life you're in. Fear never wins. So if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to fear. What I witnessed when I was at the trucker convoy was a lot of love, a lot of laughter, a lot of families, a lot of sharing, and a lot of dancing. Those truckers are not like me and other Canadians who are fearful. They don't fear losing their jobs. They don't fear the cold, and they don't fear the government. And I'll leave you with 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been perfected in love.
And as we've mentioned, this may not be the last episode on the convoy. So email us your questions, sixcentsreport@gmail.com. 6 cents makes change.
6 cents makes change, baby.
But you heard me? Does that make sense?
Madden and Mitchell Media.